coding, traveling, languages, debate, public speaking. So these are all kind of things I'm interested in. How I achieved my LSAT score. Well, I went through the Blueprint course, and then I also supplemented the course. I was taking additional practice tests in addition to all the other course material. And I got a pretty good score after completing the course. I hit a 166, and very good score, but I wanted to go a little bit, try to see if I could do a little bit better. So I studied for the October LSAT, and I went through there's Pithy Pike's guide for how to study for the LSAT, and I kind of used step 3 of that guide. And what I did is I developed a system in which I would basically be doing 2 LSATs and 3 logic games together. So I was doing, so I had, a normal LSAT is, 5 units, so to speak. So it's 3 and 2. So I would go 3, 2, 3, and I was adding additional logic game sections into that as well. So so I would do 3 sections, then take a 15-minute break, do 2 sections, do a 15-minute break, and do 3 more sections. And within that, I would do 3 logic game sections. So I was doing a lot of extra logic game sections. I would do not 3 more logic. I would do a total of 3 logic game sections, and I was kind of round robining those logic game sections. So I would see each logic game section multiple times to kind of improve my logic games, which is one of my weaker parts. So I took just basically a ton of practice tests and would review them after I took each one, and then so then I achieved the 170. So worked out for me. 3 tips I'd give for someone who's preparing for the LSAT. So number 1, the LSAT is not an intelligence test. There are caveat to that. There are highly intelligent people who can, never study and hit into the 170s. But even if you're not one of those people, anyone with the right methodology and the right amount of practice can certainly hit within the 160s and probably within the 170s. So most important thing, the LSAT's not an intelligence test. Anyone can learn it, anyone can beat it. Number 2, be patient with the LSAT. My first score was 123. That was probably more the product of nerves, but I was able to push that up, and remember I was in the 150s, the 160s, and I was hitting practice tests in the 170s. So be patient with the LSAT. It's a process. It'll take you a while to acclimate your mind to the test, but take the time to get good at it. Take 3-4 months you need in order to really improve your score. But it might take a while until you start getting up to the practice test scores that you want. And the third tip I'd give is take a ton of practice tests. Get as much practice as you can and review those tests. Don't be concerned about using up all your practice tests. Some people have said, oh, you shouldn't take too many practice tests because you use them all up and then you won't have anything to prepare for. I don't think that's a problem. I think you can always retake those same tests. I don't think you're going to remember those questions well enough that it'll interfere with your studying process. So that's one of the most valuable things. Just take a ton of practice tests and review them. Figure out where your weakness is and kind of narrow down on them. Okay, so finally, of course, what would be my signature drink? So it's currently raining and cold in New York. So what's popping into my head right now is a Corona with lime. I think that's just kind of it's a drink for California in the summertime. Kind of laid back, calm. Makes you think of the beach and warm weather and sand and seagulls and everything nice. The weather kind of right now is a little bit miserable, so I'm feeling a bit homesick. Sure, I'm going to now go ahead and teach the first LSAT question. Unfortunately, I can't show my work because it'll be backwards if I put it up here, but I'll kind of talk through what I'm writing down, and hopefully it'll be obvious. So we're going to look at the first logical reasoning question. So we're going to So start it out. So first is, the first thing we know upon approaching this question is a logical reasoning question. Okay, that's good. So what we should do with a logical reasoning question is we should look at the statement that asks us the question. So, what is, what the summary statement that asks us the question, so to speak. So in that case, the second paragraph, the kind of the small one at the bottom. So I'll read that out now. If the statements above are all true, which one of the following must also be true on the basis of them? Well, so we know immediately from that statement what type of question it is, and it's a must be true question. So we can write down next to it MBT. Good. So it's an MBT question. Then let's go from the top. I'm going to read down the question, the big paragraph. The trick here is with logical reasoning, you don't want to read something multiple times. You're going to be going really fast in the LSATs. You want to get into the practice of reading everything once. Now, prior to this, we know this is a must-be-true question, and we've discovered if the statements above are all true, which one of the following must also be true. So we know before we even discuss this question that this question is going to basically give us a series of statements, and more specifically a series of rules. And from those rules, we're going to have to figure out if there's another rule that could be true, that must also be true. So when we read this, let's try to divide this into a series of rules, so to speak. So let's start it out. This summer, Jennifer, who has worked at, who's worked at XVZ Manufacturing for just over 3 years, plans to spend with her family the entire 4 weeks of paid vacation to which she is entitled this year. So when I saw this, what I did is I wrote XVZ on my scratch paper, and then I wrote XCV, and I put the greater than sign and then J. So XCV is greater than J. She's worked at XCV for more than 3 years. XCV is greater than 3. XCV is greater than 3. She's worked at XCV for more than 3 years. And then I put a little arrow and said, so 4 weeks, entire V with family. So that's, she's worked at XCV for more than 3 years, and she plans to spend 4 weeks entirely which is her entire vacation with her family. So that kind of gives us rule 1. Rule 2 is anyone who has worked at XCV Manufacturing for between 1 and 4 years is automatically entitled to exactly 3 weeks paid vacation each year. Okay, so let's kind of stop there. Then we'll do the next clause, the but clause. So I also put down XVZ, and then I write XCV1 is less than XVZ and then greater than 4. So I put XCV between 1 and 4, and I wrote the greater and lesser signs between them to denote that. So if they work between 1 and 4, and their own arrow, which is 3 weeks vacation, to show anyone within that period of time is entitled to 3 weeks of vacation. Third, let's go through the third rule, but it can apply up to half of any vacation time that remains unused at the end of 1 year to the next year. So I write here, previous year, unused, 1/2, and then I write an arrow to this year. So now I have 3 rules, and so from these 3 rules I have to determine which another rule must be true. And the simplest way to kind of figure this one out is ask the question with each one, could this statement be false? Because clearly if a statement could be false, then it must not have to be true. It must always be true on the basis of the rule. So that's what we're going to look at when we look through each question. We're going to ask ourselves the question, could this statement be false? All right, first one. Jennifer did not use 2 weeks of the paid vacation time to which she entitled last year. Okay, so which one of our previous rules kind of inform, previous rules inform our understanding of that rule for A. So we know, we know in this year she's using 4 weeks of vacation. We know she's entitled to only 3 weeks of vacation automatically. So we know there's 1 week that has to come from somewhere else. We know that